Thank you. This is incredible, as has already been said, but from seeing it from this perspective, it's pretty astounding. So as said, I'm Kat, and I wanted to start by asking you a question. What does it mean to you to lead? I love that question because it implies that there's not just one mold for a leader, but rather leadership is multifaceted. And the act of leadership can be accomplished by all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds with various strengths and capacities. We're bombarded by people telling us what it means to lead. Be assertive, but not too assertive. Be confident, but don't intimidate people. That's exhausting. And in my role today, I'm able to work very closely with our chief product officer and our chief technology officer, our head of security. But if I rewind 7 years ago, I was an individual contributor in a brand new company who just wanted to do great work. And as that company scaled, I saw opportunities to lead. I had never managed other people, and so I clearly had a lot to learn. And luckily, I was able to work with someone who sponsored me, who saw the capacity that I had inside of myself and was willing to do the work to coach me. And so as I went through that path of individual contributor to director to VP to CPO to now CXO, I had people coaching me along the way. And while it seems trite to review it that way, the story behind it is pretty painful. And so it's a struggle that I want to talk to you about today, is the reality of growing into a leader and what that meant for me. And I hope that some of those lessons learned can be valuable to all of you. So as said, I had an incredible sponsor in our founder, and he believed in me. He is an exceptional leader. He is confident. He is decisive. He writes very concisely. And as he coached me, I wanted to become the leader that he was. And I lost myself in it. I tried to conduct myself in the way that he would. I tried to write the way that he would. And that's all fine and good until someone pushes you a little bit, and then it all falls apart, right? And not only was I feeling unstable, which is a very dangerous situation to be in any company, but especially inside of a startup that is scaling incredibly fast, both in terms of company growth and revenue. That's a dangerous spot to be in when you're not quite feeling comfortable. Everything felt just a little bit off. And not only was I feeling that way, but my team felt that way. My first 360 review as a VP was very, very bad. Comments like, why don't we hire someone that knows how to lead rather than just have someone who's been with the company forever? And it stung, but it stung because they were right. So I had another moment of, okay, let's step back. Let's see what's available to me. And as you can see, everyone has opinions on what it means to lead. And I found myself in another moment of just overwhelm. Every book has 10 steps to be the leader that you need to be. Na. And I was just like, oh shit, But I was lucky. I was having a conversation with my fiance at the time. And I was venting like, everybody hates me. I don't know why they hate me. I'm trying so hard. And he said, do you know Greg Popovich? And I was like, the Spurs coach? He's like, yeah, tell me what you know about Greg Popovich. And I was like, well, he is mean to his players. He is very assertive. I can be assertive. And he's like, no. He's like, dig deeper. Greg Popovich is an incredible leader. He has an amazing history of winning. And who he is on the court is not the whole of him. He's actually great at connecting with his players. He knows who he can yell at and who he needs to pull back from. And it's because he knows who he is and he knows how he should lead and how he should interact. And it was in that discussion with my fiance, now husband, that I realized leadership is not just one mold. Leadership is something much grander than that. And I believe that in order to really be who we need to be as leaders, we first need to know ourselves. And so in that moment of desperation, I was able to discover who I wanted to be as a leader. And I turned all of the practices that I've learned in building great products and engineering to myself. And I started with the end in mind. What's the vision that I saw for myself as a leader? Who did I want to be, both for myself and for the teams that I led? How did I want them to feel as they interacted with me? What would that mean for the business as I did so? And so I engineered who I wanted to be. But at first, you need to know what you're working with, right? Like, great to have a grand vision, but what are your constraints? Who are you? And so I went on a path to understanding myself, the strengths that I had, what I could bring to the table, and what I desperately needed to hire for. I am great at presenting. You can put me in front of a client, I won't be nervous, let's do this, right? People manager, I'm not a great one. And so in knowing myself, I was able to both amplify my own strengths and hire to my weaknesses and amplify those that I brought on board. And there's so many tools that can help you to get to know yourself that I've listed here. If you have trusted advisors, definitely go to them. That same mentor and sponsor that I tried to emulate, as I sat down and had the conversation with him of like, dude, I'm not you. He's like, duh, of course you're not me. Don't try to be me. This is what I see in you. Here's why I believe in you. Here's why you should be in the role that you're in. You know, and getting as holistic a perspective of yourself as you can is very important. You know, so many of us have struggled with imposter syndrome, sometimes rightfully so, because we're in over our heads, other times just because we haven't seen ourselves in the way that we need to be seen. And so I would challenge each of you to get to know yourself. So when you ask yourself the question again, what does it mean to lead? It feels personal. You know your strengths, you know the ways that they should be applied, and you can see yourself leading in that way. Ask yourself, what unique qualities do I possess that can better enable those around me, myself, and the business? And so I would issue a challenge to each of you to really, truly picture yourselves as leaders. We live in a world that is desperate for different types of leadership. We need to break that mold of what it means to be a leader. Don't be kind. Bullshit. Of course you should be kind if that's who you are. If you're assertive, awesome as well. Let's break the mold. Figure out who it is that you need to be as a leader and become that person. And in doing so, you'll not only help by leading yourself, but the very best leaders that I have had the privilege to work with were ones who, through being themselves, through being authentic, brought out the most authentic sides of me. And so I leave you with that challenge. Know yourself so that you can lead in the way that is most authentic to you. Thank you.